Snapshot has a very powerful field usage report, and you can select any number of your objects over here at left, and you can select their records over here at right. You can select records with a filter or with SOQL or a random record set. You can select records by name. I'm just going to go ahead and select all of my account records here, and if I select an object at left, I can see that in the preview report on the next tab. And as the report runs, it could even take a few minutes depending on how many fields you have and how big they are. Of course, you can also schedule the report to run later. And as you might expect, fields that are not being used are in red, fields that are marginal are in yellow, and fields in heavy usage here are in green. Now let's look at some of the report columns. So first you have the name of the field and then the field label. Then you have the type of field, the total number of fields, the number that are used, and the number that are empty. And then you also have the number of fields that have the default value, which is almost like being empty. And then you have the percentage used, the percentage empty, the percentage default. You have the percentage distinct as well. That's very useful. For example, your account name field is probably 99% distinct, but the account zip code might only be 50% distinct. So it gives you some useful information. On the last edit column, it shows you the last time that the field value was changed. And then you have some details here, including when the field was created and last modified. And then next we have all of the dependencies for this field, the number of other metadata assets that reference the field. So in some cases we have nothing that references the field, and in other cases we have lots of other things that have reference to it. And then lastly we have lightning links, which will let you jump into the lightning interface and look directly at any one of those fields in setup. And now you can certainly select things. For example, if you select a pick list here, you'll see the most popular values here and the least popular values. And then you can also edit the classification right from the report. So that's the business status, the security classification, help text, compliance group, all of that stuff can be changed right here. So another really interesting option is to right-click the report, and of course you can export it in every format and sort it. There's some useful options here. But here at the bottom, you can explain it. And what this does is it brings up AI. We show the AI what all the columns mean, and then you can submit this request and have an interactive discussion with AI about that report and what it means. All right, when you go to the Display Report tab, you will see all of your selected objects in a single report. And now here are all of the objects that you care about with all of their comprehensive field usage information in a single report. And of course you can right click and export that in any format. You can share it with your team members, and you can explain the reports with AI if desired. So you not only have the reports, you've got a dashboard which will show you kind of a bird's eye view graphically of all of your field usage, and you can export that, and a summary table that rolls up everything for a summary view that's a lot easier to look at. There's also an option here I want to call out to include long text areas in the report. This requires extra computation, but you may want to do that. Over here you have some options like trim table. What this will do is let you cut down the columns or the rows and focus just on particular things you're interested in. For example, you might want to only look at custom objects. And then lastly, manage usage. This lets you play around with what's considered to be low, medium, or high usage there in the report. And of course, you have the option for Smart Deploy. What this does is it brings in the very powerful deployment capabilities that we have. In this case, you're going to look at the different objects and the fields that have been judged to be low usage, and then you can go to the Deploy Metadata tab and actually make those changes in the org, or just do a validating deployment, or you can just save the job list for release management at a later date. All right, that's a quick look at the Snapshot Field Usage Report.